Welcome to your doom.
Hey everyone, this is your
DJ Cuddles.
This is DJ Cuddles.
MC Blanky in this
We got
bitch.
MC Blanky and DJ Cuddles about to soothe you till you go to sleep.
We are the officially the softest DJs in the game.
Yeah, that's right.
Granted, we don't actually DJ or cuddle.
Or cuddle. I mean, not every day. I don't cuddle every day.
Okay, great. That was good to know. This is Justin.
This is Atul.
And this is the Welcome to Your Doom show. We're back after our very brief hiatus. And by brief, I mean, what, like a month?
Yeah, it was a month, I think. Yeah.
By the time this is coming out, it'll be a month. But yeah, man, how was your trip? We both went on vacation. We both went to the same place, just completely different times.
Yeah, I went on the first half of September. You went on the second half of September.
Yeah.
We both went to Croatia. It was pretty dope. We kind of had different trips, but you don't need to get into it too much. Other than Croatia is just an incredible, beautiful place, and you really feel like you're in a different time there. We're talking about the Predator today.
Which one?
The Predator. Not Predators.
No.
Just one, even though there's more than one in this movie. That's not a spoiler. That was in the trailer.
Yeah. They had the big jacked up one in the trailer too.
Yeah, they called it The Predator, but there are two.
Yeah.
It's a Shane Black film, which is kind of crazy because Shane Black acted in the first Predator film alongside, all of your other beefcake favorites like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Apollo Creed, that's not his name.
Carl Weathers. Jesse
Ventura. Who am I trying to think of some of the other guys?
Bill Duke.
Is it Bill Duke? Yeah.
And I can never remember the guy who played Hawkins.
So that wasn't Shane Black, right?
No, that was the other guy.
That was
the other guy that wasn't
nerdy
super
guy.
jacked.
Yeah, the other guy that was not super jacked. Yeah. So Shane Black was in that, and Shane Black is, if you're not familiar with any of his work, he wrote Lethal Weapon, The Last Boy Scout. He directed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Underappreciated film.
Yeah, he wrote Monster Squad.
Yep.
And Monster Squad is like a great 80s movie. And Monster Squad was directed by Fred Dekker.
Yep.
And written by Shane Black. So whenever they work together, they call them Black and Dekker.
Yeah.
Which is funny. But they both reunited for this film. So The Predator is written by Fred Dekker, but directed by Shane Black. Shane Black also directs Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He also wrote and directed, I think most recently, The Nice Guys before this.
Yes.
Russell Crowe and that Canadian dude. Can't think of
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling. Yeah.
Canadian treasure.
Yeah, a real Canadian treasure. So that's kind of the background there. It's kind of surprising to have Shane Black come back to this franchise that he acted in. It's kind of a weird thing. I can't really think of another example where someone acted in something and was only involved in that capacity, acting something, and then comes back to write and direct.
No, but he co-wrote the first Predator, didn't he?
No, did he?
I'm pretty sure he did, man.
No.
Yeah. Him and Dekker both co-wrote that, I believe.
No. You are 100% wrong.
Are you sure?
Stop spreading lies and rumors.
You're sure?
Written by Jim Thomas and John Thomas. I don't know who the hell those guys are, but let me tell you, you are just full of shit today, sir. Full of shit.
Are you sure? I swear that he was involved.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at Predator 87?
Yeah. I thought he was involved with it, like, from a creative standpoint.
Nothing. Zero.
Holy titties.
Yes. Huh. He is not involved at all. So Shane Black did play Hawkins.
Yeah, no, I know he played Hawkins, but I thought that
Hawkins.
Him and Dekker had something to do with this.
Nothing. Well, not billed anyway. Maybe unofficially, but no, he had nothing to do with it. And I haven't seen another example of that, which is odd. It's kind of a cool state of affairs. So he came back. He put together, and he put together his own crew. Invited Fred Fred Dekker, and I think they both worked on the script, if I'm not mistaken. But it's cool to have them together because I love Monster Squad. I think it's a great '80s movie. You're still deep in thought.
I am. I'm still thinking. I don't know. So the reason I'm so shocked is I thought that he was a writer or had contributed to the writing of the original Predator, and he was included as an actor in it because he was also a writer. I thought that
to be on set.
Yeah, I thought it was something along those lines, but I guess I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm gonna do some research into that. I'll probably in the intro to this episode I will have admitted my ignorance, or I will have made fun of you.
Well, listen,
as much as I can.
I'm looking at IMDb. I'm looking at Wikipedia. It's basically proving me right.
I'm gonna find me some lowbrow internet fucking page that means nothing and isn't accurate at all. Much like what I'm saying.
Yeah, where you get most of your news from, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So it's cool to have them working together. I love Monster Squad, so I was really excited about this movie. And we have a pretty long history with the Predator. Not this film, but the character.
Yes.
I've always been a huge fan. How about you?
Always. It's actually, I think it would have been probably the first, I think, like, quote unquote horror movie my dad exposed me to when I was a kid.
Right.
Like, he was like, you should watch this. It's kind of cool. We had it on the VHS. Like, my dad had pirated it from the little fuzzy boxes.
Oh,
with pay-per-view. So they'd recorded it, and then I was watching it. What's funny too, and this is about the original Predator. It wasn't until I got the Blu-ray that I knew that at the beginning of the film, there's that shot of the alien ship coming in.
Yeah.
So when I had first seen it, this alien came out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, no, 100% agree, because the first time I saw it, I was absolutely terrified, first of all. I'd never seen gore like that ever before. This movie, like the original Predator, contains some pretty disgusting shit.
Yeah.
And I don't recall seeing the ship land.
Yeah.
The first time watching the movie, I guess what we see is, like, you see these movies on TV, or if people are already watching them on VHS or whatever, you walk into, when I hang out with my cousins or whatever when I was younger. Yeah, you're right. I never saw this ship land. So when this thing came out, I'm like, what is going on? Like, I had no idea what was happening. And that just made it, like, way scarier. I never saw that movie as an action film when I was younger. I always saw it as a exercise in suspense, because John McTiernan directs the fuck out of that movie.
No doubt.
There are some seriously suspenseful moments, the zoom in on the trees, all of that really building up the tension.
Yeah.
So as much as people say it's like 80s action film, I actually consider the original Predator to be a great example of a suspense film.
I mean, it's kind of it's a twofold film, right? The first half of the film is that action film,
which is weird, because I remember watching it again, like, years after I'd seen it the first time and considering it a horror film.
Yeah.
And I watched it again. I'm like, holy crap! There's this massive action sequence at the compound.
Yeah, exactly.
Right at the beginning, and I was like, oh, totally missed this part.
Yeah.
I just saw all the horrific stuff that happens after this.
Right. Yeah. It's basically as soon as after that first major action scene ends is when the horror movie starts, and then it's beautifully built out as a suspense film, and then they're slowly uncovering what the Predator can and can't do.
It's wonderful.
But we are discussing a better movie.
Yes.
We're
the
discussing.
Original. Yeah, the original is the better film.
Exactly.
So you want to jump into it? Non-spoilery stuff. What'd you think?
Okay, so I walked out of it and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Upon further reflection, I still hold that true, that I thoroughly enjoyed myself. But I will say that it is probably the worst film of the Predator films for me.
Interesting. Yeah.
And not including the AVP.
The
AVP stuff is pretty trash in comparison. But I would put it... the original obviously is ahead of it. I would put Predators ahead of it.
Yeah.
It's very much in the same vein as the original. But the whole idea of a game preserve, it adds to it a little bit, but it doesn't really take away from the original kind of concept.
Yeah.
It adds a little bit to it, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Predator 2 was such a different type of film, but it was still very, like, it had a lot of the components that made the first one special and kind of tried to do its own thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of very tongue-in-cheek. It's not as good as the first one by far, but I thought it was more entertaining. This one had a lot more comedy in it. I thought it had some genuinely funny moments.
Yeah.
But there was also some creative decisions that I was kind of like, huh?
Yeah.
The Tourette's gag was kind of funny at the beginning for a little bit, but there were times where I was like, okay, we need to stop this. It's getting a little uncomfortable. But there was just the gaping plot hole. There's just one gaping plot hole that's the whole reason for the Predator to come down, and it doesn't make any sense. And that was something I could as soon as they explained what he was doing there, even while I was watching the film, I'm like, this makes zero sense, but I'm still having fun.
Right.
And some of the way the pacing makes some of the first and second acts kind of feel disconnected from it. Like it's a very sporadic film.
Yeah, I would agree there.
It's not super cohesive.
Yeah.
So it's got its problems. It's not my favorite of all of them. It's like I said, it's probably my least favorite of all the other 3 films I would call. But I still enjoyed the hell out of it. I would still recommend people go and see this.
Yeah,
where I land on this.
I'm kind of in the same boat because this is a Shane Black movie. Like, it's a Shane Black movie with a Predator in it. Like, I would almost say, because it really is nothing like any of the other movies. But what I actually very much appreciate about the Predator franchise, Predator 1, 2, Predators, and this, is that they're all different movies. Like,
yes,
they all add something different to the franchise, much in the same way as the first 4 Alien films are all wildly different movies, which I actually very much like. And this is a Shane Black movie, you know. Yeah. This got the Shane Black witty commentary. Witty comedy, comedy strewn about absolutely everywhere. Has some real laugh out loud moments. That's something that, you know, some the other movies don't have. Mm-hmm. It takes the franchise in like another direction, which I was actually totally skeptical about, but it kind of adds a world building element to the Predator culture. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of like that. I liked it add its own piece of mythology. I feel like each of the films have done a little bit of that. It doesn't feel stale. It's cheesy. There's some good practical effects in there.
Very good. Yeah.
There's a real breakout sequence in there, pun intended. The problems with it are exactly what you said. It feels super choppy. The pacing is super weird. Some of the design decisions I didn't really agree with. And you know, from the trailers, you know that there's kind of like what I'm gonna call juice bag Predator. Like,
I was gonna go with Uber Predator, but that sounds better.
Yeah. So like juice bag Predator is unfortunately all CG.
Yes.
Which I was really kind of like. I was more like just disappointed because there's a huge opportunity there to do something practical.
It was hard to cast an 11-foot tall giant. There's not a lot of them in Hollywood.
It is difficult. Yeah. It's difficult to do that, and I feel like I'm asking for too much. But but you know, like Darkness from oh boy, Ridley Scott movie with Tom Cruise, fantasy picture. Oh jeez, sorry, I'm gonna have to look this up. Tom.
It's gonna bug you, isn't it? Darkness, everybody.
Yeah.
Darkness.
So Tim Curry Legend.
Oh, Legend. Yeah.
So a movie called Legend. If you look at Tim Curry in that movie, he's tall. He's hoofed. You know. They you know, man, obviously he's not jumping around and like tearing people in half and doing all that, you know, stuff. They can do that when the character's fully CG, but it doesn't look as convincing.
Yeah.
The original, like the other Predator in the film, is practical, and that's great. It's wonderful. If they had done both as CG, I would have just dropped this movie right on the floor and walked out, because the thing about the Predator franchise that the Alien one has kind of violated in the last film with Covenant was that they are the practical pillars of practical franchises that keep that have always had a practical alien,
high quality Predator. Practical.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's always been a part of the franchise for me.
Yes.
And they went full CG for at least, you know, like there's a juice bag Predator, but the other one is practical and it's really well done.
It actually looks better than probably all the other iterations of it.
Oh,
too.
the way it
great. Moves
and because it's
very
actually
natural.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And in that sequence I was talking about, we'll get to that during our summary, but was very good.
One other thing I'll call out too is I liked the sound mixing in the film.
Yeah.
They used a lot of the original score from the Predator film from Predator. I appreciated that, like the da-na-na-na-na-na.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, it gets me going. But also, like, there was, the breakout scene with, let's just say, the Predator in the lab. Because that's also in the trailer.
That's right, yeah.
It's... the way the sounds and stuff are used, the sound effects and the screams and everything, make you feel like you're in there.
They did a lot of separation in that movie. And I'm like, why doesn't every film do this? Because not every film does that. And it's simple. This is like a simple 5-1 mix.
Yeah.
Where you have like 6 speakers being one signal kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of great separation.
Yeah.
Like sound effects separation, things coming from right, left, and the middle and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is what a movie is supposed to sound like in the theater. You should be using this all the time.
Yes.
Not every film does that. I mean, when I say every film, I mean every film of this type, like an action film, an effects-driven film, a tentpole blockbuster. They don't do that.
Yeah.
And this one does, and it's better for it. It's actually quite atmospheric and adds to the confusion.
Yeah. So they did that well. So I wanted to call that out too. But
definitely good. But it has its problems. It's like Some jokes fall flat. They feel forced. The CG juice bag Predator, don't really like it. Didn't really like the way they built the character. It does take the mythology into weird places. So if you're not into that, it's a little cheesy.
Yeah.
So I can see that being sort of a turnoff for a lot of people.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much all I want to say, other than like jumping right into the story.
Did you have a line? You didn't even do a line.
Yeah, no, we're getting there. I'm asking. Is there any more?
I'm okay.
Is there any more?
I'm just dandy. I'm gonna sip my tea and you get ready to do your line, my good friend.
All right, folks. This is The Predator, which is essentially 2-hour PSA, letting us all know: never French kiss a predator.
Those mandibles would
really they do some damage.
There was that scene where he bites somebody.
That's exactly what I was getting at here. That's exactly what I thought. Because this is the first movie that the predator uses his mandibles. One scene he uses it to cut someone, and then Juice Bag Predator just straight up just eats a dude's face.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I was thinking of like using the mandible to escape, but the juice bag predator
eats a guy's face, and not a good French kisser.
No.
So maybe you're into that sort of thing. We don't know.
We're not judging.
Yeah. So why don't you take it away, Carco?
Oh right. So the film pretty much opens up with that big space thing.
Yeah. This movie just starts.
It just starts. It's just like, guess what? This ship's escaping this ship. No reason.
Yeah.
And it has that cool thing where it goes into it opens like a black hole or a rip in space.
Yeah.
And then what is it? When you take the two papers and fold them together.
A wormhole.
Wormhole. That's a good word. Yeah. Anyways, so he opens a wormhole, jumps into Earth. You just kind of see the two predators in the ships. It was kind of neat, but nothing that we hadn't seen before. I think we'd seen that in one of the AVP movies, kind of their ship and stuff in a little more
in
detail.
Predator 2, you see the inside of their ship.
Yeah, I think it was the first time that you'd actually see
it. They like their fog.
They do like their fog.
Yeah,
and they also they when they're tapping, you know how we like they just fucking boom.
They are
everything is just one big finger bang to them. That was not worded right. They bang things with their finger. That's still not right. They're smashing. Okay, I'm done. All right. Anyways, they use one finger when they're typing.
Dude, and they are aggressive typers.
They are aggressive.
People think Apple keyboards are falling apart on these new Apple laptops, and they have to go take them in. 3 minutes with the Predator, and this thing's going back to the shop for sure.
Well, that's why all of them are digital things that just pop up, because they can't have that physical keypads anymore.
They would destroy every keyboard they got, so they have all the holographic images, and they're like, just really going for it.
So anyways, basically you've got Little Predator escaping from Juice Bag Predator, and Little Predator arrives on Earth right in the middle of what seems to be an assassination /
like a hostage rescue. Yeah,
he thought rescuing the hostages would be a good thing by just shooting one guy. He's like, yeah, this will save him.
Yeah, well, I think he shoots him, and he's going to shoot the other guys, and then the ship comes.
Yeah.
So this is our main character, played by
Boyd Holbrook.
Boyd Holbrook, yeah. And what's his name again in the movie?
McKenna.
Yeah. Okay. So McKenna is he's got there's a couple of funny like little witty banter on the radio. That's a first hint that this is not like the other movies.
Yeah.
Like it's already like seeps in right at the beginning.
Yes.
The Shane Blackness of it all. And then this ship crash lands, and we get our first sort of thriller sequence where he goes to the ship. He finds the Predator's stuff.
Yeah.
And finds his helmet and a gauntlet, and he finds like a little. Well, anyway, he gets attacked by the Predator, and his team gets killed by Little Predator. This is Little Predator who's crash landed on the ship, and runs away. Essentially, he incapacitates the Predator.
Incapacitates him with his own gauntlet, which I didn't understand. Like, didn't the Predator put his helmet on and his shit? Like, how did that come off? I was so confused. The gauntlet and the helmet, like, it just seemed very strange that he left that stuff. Like, I feel like he probably would have grabbed it. Anyways, that was weird to me. I was just
maybe
like,
in the crash it all fell off, right?
But whatever. Anyways, sorry, nitpick.
I think it. Yeah, I mean, if you're in an accident and you got your glasses on your head, let's say you get in a little fender bender, your glasses go flying off. But probably not broken.
If your glasses will shoot and kill anything that tries to go after them, you'd probably pick them up.
Yeah, I'd be like,
I need these.
But then somebody's coming in with a gun, so he's trying to take them out before he picks up his stuff. You got to prioritize.
Prioritizing is important.
Yeah.
Right?
So he ends up offing the two other members of McKenna's team.
Correct.
McKenna escapes with his gear.
McKenna escapes with the gear, but he's hot on his trail is the character Traeger, played by Sterling K. Brown, who is the most menacing person I've ever seen. He oozes menace. Everywhere he goes, even the way that he was popping mints in there, I was like, I feel bad for those mints.
This guy is constantly chewing gum and working his jaw muscles. I feel like he does that on a day because, like, they bulge. He's one of those guys that has bulging jaw muscles. You know? Like, people would want, like, jaw muscle implants to look like this. And they bulge. And whenever he's chewing, they just kind of, like, pulsating back and forth. And it was quite hypnotic. And he keeps throwing the gum in there. And all I could think to myself is, how many sticks of gum can you put in your mouth? Gum gets big, like massive. Like when do you? Like,
his jaw was so strong; it was compressing it into.
He's just pulverizing that gum in his mouth. He's like he throws a whole pack of 10 in there, and it comes out like a millimeter, a millimeter wide.
So wacky.
Anyway, so Trigger works for this Stargazer company that's been tracking the extraterrestrials that have been landing on our planet.
Yeah.
And when he gets to the ship, he knows that someone's been there.
Yeah.
So Boyd Holbrook's character McKenna retreats, and he's in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's in Mexico. So he goes to a Mexican cantina.
Yeah.
In a really weird scene, he has this little orb that popped out from he doesn't know how to use this gear. He's got the gauntlet on. This orb pops out from the gauntlet, and he grabs it, and it turns him invisible. Yeah. Just like the Predator, like it's the encloaking device the Predator uses. So he uses that to impress a bartender, and gets the bartender to ship all of this stuff back to a P.O. box in the United States.
Right. And the P.O. box, it ends up getting picked up by his kid.
Yeah, because there's no more room in the P.O. box. It actually goes to his estranged wife's house.
The kid's introduced earlier in a scene with chess pieces.
It shows that the kid has Asperger's.
Asperger's, yeah.
That's right. He is hyper intelligent, and he can remember things. Mm-hmm. Like all these kids are playing chess in the chess club. A fire alarm goes off. The pieces are strewn about all over the place. He comes back in and puts like 8 chessboards back on the table, but puts all the pieces exactly where they were before everybody left. So essentially showing you that this kid, yes, I hope I'm using the right term. He's autistic, I think is the right term. I think
so.
And but his autism is putting his intelligence at a higher level, kind of like the one character from Cube. I don't know if you've ever seen Cube.
Yes.
But similar to that, but he can communicate just as well as everyone else.
He ends up figuring out kind of how he gets the Predator gear, starts figuring out how to use it, and he manages to decipher where the ship is and how to read their language. And then he goes out trick-or-treating, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But anyways, so at this point, so all the stuff's been mailed off. McKenna ends up getting captured by the bad guys, we're going to call them. Stargazer.
Stargazer.
And is, quote-unquote, debriefed and is sent away to the loony bin
Yeah.
With the rest of the loonies.
Yeah, they call them the loonies. I kind of like that. I did like that very much. He gets interrogated. Trigger's trying to find out what he knows, and he's telling them what what he saw. They're like, okay, well, we have to send him in the bin with all of the other crazies, and he's on this, but finds himself on this bus with other soldiers that have had awful things happen or have done awful things that are considered sort of like crazy.
So you've got Coyle, who's Keegan-Michael. No,
Keegan-Michael Key.
Is it
no.
Key?
Yeah,
no. Yeah, Jordan Peele, Keegan-Michael Key.
Yeah, that's right.
I was confused their first names. Baxley's Thomas Jane. Nebraska Williams is Trevante Rhodes. And I didn't look up the actors for Nettles or Lynch. But Nettles and Lynch, one is the guy that is very...
religious?
He's not religious.
Oh yeah,
he's creepy as fuck.
He's creepy as fuck.
Apparently religious.
And the other guy is he's the actor on Game of Thrones and the original John Wick.
John Wick, yeah, he's the son.
Yeah.
Both of those two characters could not have been in the film, and I would not have missed them.
Sure.
They were set pieces for me.
Sure.
They were extra fodder.
Well, we need bodies.
They were fodder. But yeah, so they're in this bus and they're kind of going over their stories. And to me, the most interesting one was Nebraska, or what was it? Wherever he's from. Nebraska Williams.
Yeah.
He was just the most interesting. He just seemed the one that you could connect to and be relatable to. Everybody else was just he was the guy that shot himself in the head.
Yeah.
Everybody else was just kind of like a caricature of somebody, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But they were all entertaining in their own right to some degree. Thomas Jane's Tourette's thing kind of got a little old.
It does. You think it gets old? I thought it was fucking hilarious.
I thought it was hilarious in the bus. It was kind of funny, but then it was the pussy joke in
later.
The thing. I was like, okay, this is going to... It was funny at first, but then they kept on pushing it and pushing it. I'm like, okay, we need to get past this joke now.
That one lasted a little too long, but there's a couple of other... There were a couple of other moments. I like the way Jane played it. They never show his shoes. Did you notice that? Do you think he was barefoot the whole time?
He might have been.
Yeah, because I was waiting for them.
Special.
There was that shot of McKenna looking over at Thomas Jane and looking at him, and I was expecting him to look down and then would have a shot of his bare feet, but it never happened. So, and this is because, of course, we both know that Thomas Jane tends not to wear shoes.
He hates wearing shoes in places where he can take them off. He'll do so wherever possible.
Yeah. So and Keegan-Michael Key was funny. He was he was killing his lines. He has a couple of funny jokes and then that actually connects back to the original Predator because Shane Black's character tells a dirty joke to Billy.
Yeah.
And it's a dirty joke in the same line as the jokes that Keegan-Michael Key is telling on the bus. So there are some like callbacks to the original film.
Absolutely. So all the while that's happening, you've also got this character Casey, who's Olivia Munn's character, gets brought into the Stargazer facility, sees the Predator, the fugitive Predator, or the little Predator.
The little Predator, which has been captured.
Yeah, because McKenna incapacitated him. And then she's like, oh shit, this thing's got human DNA.
So I'd like to hold you there for a little moment.
Do it.
For a little moment. Her introduction, okay? And I'd like to say this for the record, one of the worst things about this movie is the first third. The first third of this movie is a fucking editorial mess.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about pacing. You are jumping around in different places. You've got the kid discovering the Predator gear, the loonies in the loony bin, and then you've got Olivia Munn's character and Stargazer. Now, the problem is here, Olivia Munn's introduction happens out of nowhere.
Yeah.
These guys drive up in a park, go to her and say, hey, come with us. Do you enjoy stargazing? They say. They don't even say her name, right? And they come in. I don't even know when you find out what her name is. Now, here's the crazy thing. We don't need to get into it too much right now, but Olivia Munn campaigned to have a scene removed from the film, and because the actor that she was acting with was a known sex offender. That scene, 100%, was meant to be her introduction in the park, in the dog park.
Yes. Because
it would be some guy walking a dog or something like that, and he hits on her, and it tells you something about her character, that she's strong, like she's not a pushover, probably, and gives you some insight. They literally cut the scene out and started with her getting picked up from, like, with those guys from Stargazer, and it shows.
Yeah.
It absolutely shows that there's when I say it's not a giant chunk, but it's a crucial chunk where you have no idea who this person is, and they don't really have lines until.
Yeah,
she doesn't have lines until later.
It would
so awkward.
Better if she just walked in as scientist expert in the facility. Like you don't need we're gonna pick you up with your dog thing.
Like they should have just excised that entirely and just show her coming in and be like, oh, we brought in so and so scientist. It's like, oh, I'm it's crazy that I'm here. Like you guys, like backfill a little bit. With some dialogue. But they just lifted that scene right out, and it's painful. Like I watched it, I'm like, what? It felt super awkward.
Yes.
And 100%. That whole first third of that movie is super awkward.
Yes.
Jumping, all over these plot lines. So I wanted to throw that in there. Yeah. Proceeds, yeah. So she goes into the facility while the loonies are on the bus.
Right.
And while the kid is discovering and going out for Halloween with the Predator stuff.
Right. And then all of a sudden, that's when Uber Predator starts coming in. Little Predator's like, shit, I gotta get my gear and get the hell out of here. He wakes up.
Yeah, he's strapped to the table.
He murders everyone.
This is that breakout sequence, and I gotta tell you, this is the best sequence in the movie.
Yes.
And one of the best sequences in the Predator franchise, period. Yeah. I absolutely loved this scene where he breaks out from this facility, because he is straight up fucking everybody up. And it's, this is when he uses his mandibles to cut the guys, there's a lot of little nuance there that they really made sure they used all of the Predator stuff, that he's got. And you think they would have disarmed him. Did they? Did he have his blades and stuff?
No, he didn't have anything.
Oh, he was just beating the fuck out of everybody.
He basically strong-armed his way off of the table, bit the guy, got a little bit more space, broke out, and then just started just murking people with his hands.
Yeah, he smashes some. Yeah, he just rips some guy's face off, slits their throat, walking around throwing people around everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a great sequence. Two questions I had. Jake Busey is in this movie. Actually, what I've read, although it's not apparent from the film, playing the son.
Yes, of Peter Keyes.
Yeah, of a character, his father.
Yes.
Gary Busey played in Predator 2.
Yes.
Gary Busey's character from Predator 2 was killed by the Predator.
Correct.
They don't say anything about that.
Nothing. It's more of just, I think it's just more of a nod to the film that like diehards would know. As soon as I saw him, that was my first thought. Yeah. I was like, is he the son of Gary Busey's character?
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah, and he is playing the son of that character. And Jake Busey, actually, I do like Jake Busey. He's been in a lot of movies I like. Yeah. He's in Starship Troopers and Identity. And he's also in The Frighteners, and
he's great in The Frighteners.
I love all three of those movies, and it was just nice to see him in there.
Right.
And but I was unfortunate they didn't have like some kind of throwaway line saying that his father had a run-in with this species or whatever. Yeah. So anyway, he's in there. He doesn't die. I think he just gets poked in the belly a little bit.
Yeah.
But Olivia Munn runs away. Inexplicably.
Yeah.
To leave the science facility or to come in, you have to go through a decontamination process, which requires you to take off all of your clothes.
Yes.
For whatever reason, when she's leaving, they're saying get in, like you have to decontaminate to get out.
Yeah.
She still takes her clothes off to be decontaminated, but she's hiding from this predator who's walking through. So now my question is here. Do you think this system is recognizing whether or not you're naked and won't let you out unless you have taken off all your clothes?
My theory is that the system is actually a hyper-intelligent artificial intelligence and is like, this is Olivia Munn.
We want to see her naked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of a good reason why when she was desperate to escape and it's saying, oh, you have to do decontamination, that she couldn't just walk in there and just keep her clothes on and decontaminate and then leave. It seems really odd that she thought that she had to go the whole 9 yards, follow full protocol, and take her clothes off.
Olivia Munn gets naked more than she needs to.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah. The first time, sure.
First time was because she gets naked next to Jake Busey and they're getting decontaminated. It makes sense. Yeah. But when she leaves, she gets naked again. And it's not like you see anything.
No.
It's just kind of like
it didn't feel sexual at all.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't leering at all. It just seemed like an odd choice.
Yeah.
It was like, why not just? And she doesn't even get out. She gets naked and stays there and hides.
Yeah.
In the machine.
And then she grabs a gun and starts fucking parkouring after the predator.
Yeah, that's right.
Off of buildings and shit. Jumps onto a fucking bus.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, the loonies have commandeered the bus. She's running and chasing the little predator. The big predator is going to crash land somewhere. They figure out that the predator is going to get his gear. They rescue Casey. There's a lot of stuff going on. And it's actually a pretty cohesive action scene when they're all outside.
That's right. Yeah, no, it's actually a nice little escape sequence.
Yes, yeah.
And the loonies take over the bus.
Yeah.
And they grab some bikes and realize that little predator, like you said, is going after his gear.
Right.
And his gear is with his
son.
kid. Yeah. So they peel out and head toward his kid.
Yeah.
Now, little predator has to get there somewhere. In my favorite sequence of the movie, I know I said the breakout was my favorite sequence, but I say like it's neck and neck with the next one. Little predator's got to. He's just murked all these people in his lab. He's got to get his stuff back. How's he gonna get there? Public transit. Okay. He goes on the nearest bus. Gets in the back seat, kills all the soldiers in the back seat of this bus while the driver has no idea what's going on back there because it's like an APC, so it's got like a little wall. And the driver's like, hey, what's going on back there? Meanwhile, he's killed all these guys back there. One of their arms is severed, sticks a severed arm through the back window with the thumbs up sign, and the guy's like, oh, you guys, you jokers.
Yeah.
And he goes back in, and then my favorite shot of the movie, where he just sits down in the chair as I half expected him to start looking at his phone or like open up a newspaper. Like he's just on the bus, and he's headed up. Like it made me laugh so much.
Yeah.
Because it was such a mundane thing to do after killing all these guys and this ridiculous severed arm thumbs up gag. He just kind of sits down.
Takes a load off. He had a hard day.
It was a tough day for him, man. It was a tough day. I almost think this story can be seen as the story of like an underprivileged youth moving to the city. I feel like, he comes into the city. First thing happens, he crashes. He gets robbed. People steal all of his shit. Then they try to kill him. They put him in, and he escapes. Then he's got to take the bus to go to the next place. He's just trying to help some people. I can see the frustration on his face. And then finally, and then he finally gets killed.
Right.
And like honestly, it's a rough go for this guy. It really is.
Yeah. Hard day.
Yeah, hard day. So anyway, they all head over to McKenna's house. Then there's a sequence with the kid.
Yeah. Trick or treating. He's basically duct taped the predator helmet onto his face. And
it was so good when he's walking.
Great.
He's walking down the street with this predator mask, and I'm like,
helmet.
Oh, this is like that sequence just really hit me right in the heart because I'm like, if that were me, that would be exactly what I would have done.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool. It's wish fulfillment. It's seriously like Shane Black being a kid again, like being a kid on Halloween. And it was a cute little sequence. Cute right up until, why don't you tell us what happens? Which is kind of
the
nuts.
kid goes trick-or-treating at the wrong house. The owner of the house decides to throw a beer can at him as the kid's walking away, and then the predator mask viciously murders him and blows up his house.
I was like, wow.
It was intense. That child murdered someone inadvertently. I mean, there was no modus operandi?
No, he didn't have.
No, that's sorry. No. Intent. He had no intent.
He had no intent.
Yes.
He gets hit in the head with this can, and the predator helmet little gun comes out and vaporizes this owner of this house as well as the house. And then he has this little moment where the bullies come after him.
Yeah.
Bullies are sitting there looking at him, and he just takes the helmet and goes, yeah, like shakes the helmet at them, and they run off. So it was really funny. So the kid's scared and goes running off into a football field.
Yeah.
And then he encounters what is probably the lamest thing in this movie.
The fucking dogs.
The predator dogs. Yeah. Now, I mean, the design's okay. There's a weird thing that happens here where one of the predator dogs, the other ones are put down. They kill them. But one of the dogs gets shot in the head.
Yeah.
Repeatedly. Like, close range. And then kind of seems dumb after that. And I think the movie is trying to tell you that the dog was lobotomized. Like, it just became really dumb and kind of like followed them around. And it was like kind of like, I didn't really understand what they wanted the audience to think happened there, but I think it's a lobotomy. They think like they inadvertently gave this dog a lobotomy.
Yeah, and maybe it would have meant more if more of the Olivia Munn backstory of whatever the dogs meant to her might have played a little bit more with those dog characters. Maybe there would have been more, but the whole like those dogs didn't need to be in the film at all. They could have murdered them both, and then the dumb dog didn't need to be there anymore.
Yeah,
it was just
more for like a gag.
It was more for a gag,
like
and it wasn't even funny. I thought it was weird enough that it was kind of like it could be endearing. It was weird enough where I wasn't like so put off by it, but at the same time, I'm like, if that would probably be one of the first things I would cut from the film. This whole dog sequence and the dog returning kind of seemed it's very odd. Yeah, didn't play well with me. I didn't like the damn dog.
So anyway, moving on from there, what happens next?
Well, the loonies rescue the kid. They go away, but eventually Traeger. Well, I'm skipping the big juice bag predator. Juice bag predator. Yeah. So they escape to the school. They escape to the school. That's where the
little predator.
McKenna's trying to give the predator back what he's looking for.
Yes.
And then that's when juice bag predator comes, viciously murders the little one.
Oh, buddy.
And then the loonies all escape, and they're just like, okay, we should be safe. Meanwhile, the predator's like, I got some leads. The loonies and company, they all go into some shack somewhere or some farm or wherever. Yep. At the same time, Olivia Munn's figuring out, oh wait, this fluid stuff that the guy had and the fact that they have human DNA, it's not that they're just ripping out trophies. They're taking the spinal fluid and they're upgrading themselves.
Which is an interesting concept. Right. And that's kind of like what I was talking about in terms of expanding the mythology. They're like, they're taking trophies. They're taking the spine.
Yeah.
They're taking the spinal fluid. It all kind of does flow into each other.
Yeah.
I originally did not like the idea of this whole like splicing and evolving thing. And the kid actually gets a little vision when he puts the predator helmet on of a predator on an operating table with other predators operating on him and injecting him with stuff. And so that's the big mythology add here.
Yeah.
Where they are not simply hunting, they're actually using the most aggressive organisms and the toughest organisms to hunt. When they're defeated, they actually take their DNA and try and make themselves better. And it kind of makes sense.
It's an interesting concept.
It works.
It works. The thing that doesn't work is that fugitive predators coming to bring us some sort of super weapon to fight off the predators when they come after global warming starts wiping us out. Okay.
Yeah, so the predators are coming. Yeah, so what you find out later in the film is that the predators are coming to Earth more often because they understand that we are essentially wiping ourselves out.
Yeah.
And we are an endangered species. And I liked that as well. I liked the fact that, oh shit, like, we're not going to be able to hunt these guys for long. We are an endangered species, so they're harvesting the planet before essentially we kill ourselves.
Right.
Now, from what I understand, the rogue predator doesn't want that to happen. Doesn't want the planet to die out, and doesn't want them to over-harvest.
Right.
So he's giving us a method to fight the predators when they do come to harvest us.
Yes.
I think that's what's happening.
That makes sense.
He wasn't here to hunt us.
No.
He's here to give us something.
Right. That's what I gathered from it. The problem was that the very first thing he does when he touches down is viciously murders, skins, and strings up somebody.
Immediately. I'm 100% with you. Now, here's the thing. When
stupid.
When little predator is trapped in the lab and he escapes and brutally murders everyone getting out of there, I get that. He's a little pissed off.
I'd be a little pissed off too.
And he's like, fuck you guys, I'm just trying to help you.
Yeah.
And obviously the soldiers are coming to kill him, so he's murdering everyone. He's done what he has to do to survive.
Yes.
To complete his mission. But you're right, the first two guys he kills on the grassland, there's no reason.
And even the guys on the bus, they didn't really need to get viciously torn apart.
He wanted the seat to himself. How many times have you gotten on a public bus and there's a guy sitting in the two-seater and you just want to decapitate him and throw his body outside the back of the bus so you can have both of those seats yourself? Honestly, I get it. It was purely survival. It's a dog-eat-dog on those TTC buses out there, man. I would take the bus every day. If I could do what
that would be my suggestion.
What's that?
I would sit right next to the guy in the middle seat, taking up those two seats, and just rip a fart.
Do you think that would work for this predator?
I would assume their intestines can probably produce something
man.
far worse than we have.
Listen,
this guy's eating faces of human beings. I cannot imagine that this guy is producing anything that's not going to kill the person next to him slowly.
The way he looks, he's treated differently out there. Okay. You might call it intergalactic racism, but sometimes he's not going to the back of the bus on this one. He's getting to the front of the bus, and he'll do whatever the fuck he has to. And if that means
but he didn't even ask if he could sit.
He did.
He just went in and he didn't even go inside. He just threw something in from the top, and he's like, "Yeah."
He just assumed that nobody was going to give him a seat.
Yeah. He could have walked in and been like,
and they're going to be like, "Oh, fuck you," and
then you start murdering everybody. But you got to at least ask. It's kind of a dick move to come in and start shoving people around. You know, the only guy left alive was the driver because he didn't know how to drive. He sees the two pedals. He's like, "I don't know what the fuck to do there." I can't just finger bang this thing into wherever I gotta go. These pedals.
His feet are way too big. You push both pedals.
Oh yeah, he wouldn't go anywhere. He wouldn't go anywhere. The engine was just straining. So, anyways, we've deemed that the Predator's mission was probably. I mean, it makes sense that why he wanted Earthster to survive. Maybe he likes hunting us. Whatever.
Yes,
there could have been something that could have been expanded upon because that wasn't clear. That makes sense when you explain it that way, but. He definitely could have done a better job trying to hand us some technology, trying to help us out.
Yeah, he could have just parachuted it in.
Yeah, he really could have.
Yeah.
Just left it there, left a note. I mean, if the kid could figure out his language pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Or at least maybe the symbols. I don't know if he'd figure it out. But
anyway,
he could have just drawn a big heart.
And yeah, so, and then the other stuff, like Trigger finding them. I don't even know how he finds them. I don't know how he finds them at this farmhouse.
I can't remember. It wasn't clear. Everybody just kept finding each other without really a lot of explanation. I don't know how they found the kid and Traeger and stuff at the Predator site. Like, they didn't even show, like, a clip of them, like, oh, we found his map. Like, they just fucking found him.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of dialogue here is so fast and not loud.
Maybe the dog tracked them down?
Yeah, they were following the dog. Yeah, so now the dog shows up at the
I thought the dog was following them, but now that I'm thinking about it, it was probably in reverse.
Yeah. So yeah, when they're in the helicopter, they steal the helicopter. Yeah. So anyway, Traeger comes to the farmhouse and captures everyone. And then they discuss why the Predator is here, and all of this sort of comes to light.
Yeah.
Then Traeger finds the ship because the kid has drawn it, kidnaps the kid, leaves. And the others are all to be executed, and they all escape in weird and wonderful ways. The dog comes back to Olivia Munn just before she's going to be executed and throws up a grenade.
I don't know. Was that like she was playing catch with him before? That seems like a very dangerous thing.
Was it a grenade she was throwing?
That's what I assumed.
I thought the implication was like this guy ate a soldier or something and like didn't digest the grenade and threw it up. I don't know where that grenade came from, or he throws something up at the end too. He's kind of like Kirby, like where he's just like eating shit and throwing it up. Like it's just it was a weird little gimmick thing. Anyway, so she escapes because she blows up the guy that's going to execute her. The others escape, steal a helicopter. The dog starts running. They just track the dog, and the dog leads them to the ship, which is where Trigger and the kid are. Yeah. And they get into the ship, and what do they find? Trigger's looking for something.
Yeah, he's looking for that thing in the pod, and then but before he can get to it, Big McKenna comes, rescues his son. They all go outside. There's this big standoff, and then that's when Uber Predator comes out and is like,
Juicebag
Predator starts murking the rest of the soldiers.
Really just starts fucking everybody up, and what is I think a decent action sequence, but what I don't like again about the Juicebag Predator is they play with the rules of his skin. Is he bulletproof? Is he not bulletproof? Yeah. At the end, he's sure not bulletproof, but kind of only becomes non-bulletproof when the story calls for it. I don't like that. I don't like when it's unclear. Is he bulletproof? Because if he's bulletproof, you guys got to do something else.
Yeah, set the rules and follow the rules. Yeah, don't set the rules and then change them.
Change them. Yeah. So he really does walk through this whole thing unperturbed by the small arms fire from most of these soldiers.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. So he walks in to the ship. And in what's a kind of a goofy, kind of crazy scene, he uses the translator that they actually set up in order to investigate his ship. He reverses it and uses it on them
to communicate
with them, saying that
McKenna.
I've enjoyed watching you guys kill each other. I want McKenna, and I'm giving you guys a head start.
Yeah.
And he gives everyone a head start, which was cool. I like that. Like 7-minute head start, and then I'm going to hunt and kill you all.
Yeah.
Another thing to point out here is that he uses that translator before when the predators are talking. It's the first time in any Predator movie that features a predator that there are subtitles for what they are saying. So that's another interesting thing that they've introduced in this movie. Like when the predators are talking, like there are subtitles to understand what they're saying. So Trigger has to team up with
McKenna and the loonies.
The loonies, yeah, and Trigger has the shoulder cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't know how to use it very well.
Doesn't know, and that comes up later.
Not much later.
Yeah.
We're at 55. We're almost at an hour.
Really? Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. So they go running off in the woods, and Juicebag Predator attacks them. So they try to fight him off. Anything in this sequence that you liked? Or?
Well, the only thing that really stood out to me was the whole the Key and
Thomas
and
Jane
characters, basically going after him. Jane's character just viciously stabbing him on fire.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
And then them both being essentially disemboweled and finishing each other off, putting each other out of their misery. I mean, there was a connection to them. They were in the same unit.
Yeah.
So that was established earlier in the film. It was super campy and very corny, but it was also kind of...
It was a fitting end. It was like it had an ending.
Yeah.
Like for their arc.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
It was cheesy.
It was over the top,
It was
but
way
it
over
was
the top.
kind of it fit in the film. I would say.
Because this whole film is really is over the top.
Right.
In all of the confusion, trying to fend off the juice bag predator, Trigger is trying to use the shoulder cannon, and they show that in great detail wherever he looks, the shoulder cannon moves. So he's trying to shoot this predator in the woods as they're fighting him off. Someone calls his name. I think it's Olivia Munn's character.
Yeah.
It's like Trigger. He turns around and the shoulder cannon turns, but is now facing the back of his head because he's turned full 90 degrees to the right from where his head was, and pulls the trigger and blows his own head off, which is probably the best death in this movie, right up there with Guy's face getting eaten by a predator.
It's a really bad design decision. I feel like that.
I don't think he's using it right.
Because I wouldn't say that's user error.
I don't think the predators. It's not sitting right here. They kind of it bulges out, and it's kind of like
Yeah, but I mean, if the predator looked this way, it's going to look this way. It should just have like a certain. Maybe he was using it on the wrong arm. Maybe that was for lefties.
Yes.
And he was putting it on the right shoulder.
That's right, because maybe it's not allowed to go further left.
Because I feel like that would be a design decision. That would be a very big design failure there.
I could just see the
design flaw.
The developer predator back home who got a degree at his predator college.
Yeah.
It's kind of like looking at UAT test data. And
Oh,
like,
for sure.
We
We've got way too many heads that have been blown off. We should inhibit it from going that way. If you want to shoot that way, you have to turn your body. Okay,
that's right. That's
anything
right.
on the right.
Yeah.
It'll shoot.
Then
you want to go left? You got to turn.
He took it to the product design meeting.
Use those hips, baby. Use those hips.
Yeah. Product design meeting, got it okayed by the board of directors.
So everybody gets offed essentially, and the only people left standing after is McKenna, Casey, and Rory.
Well, the predator tries to take off. When you
tries to take off.
You find out that the predator doesn't want McKenna the elder, like as the warrior. He wants his son because his son is the next evolution of the human race.
Right.
And that's sort of established earlier, where they say the spectrum of autism might actually be considered an advancement.
Yes. Yeah.
And so what they're trying to do, again, is collect the most advanced human beings or organisms. So he tries to take the kid and tries to take off. And a cool sequence is when the last of the loonies jumps on the ship, and the shields are coming up.
Yeah.
And the shields turn out to be like it's energy, but it's like it'll cut you. Basically, so it slices one of them in half, and one is caught underneath and one's on the top, and McKenna uses the shield underneath in this crazy physics thing to slide into the ship.
Yeah.
All like super cheesy, but I they're playing within the rules. They set these rules up, and there's a payoff. So I kind of do like that. They managed to bring the ship down and have their final confrontation.
Yeah.
In which, I mean, Juicebag Predator throws McKenna around a little bit. I can't even remember how they beat him. Like the dog vomits something up again, right? And they use like they set him on fire. They blow him up.
They blow him up. Yeah. They I can't remember. I remember Olivia Munn jumps on him after using the invisibility orb.
Yep.
starts shooting him in the head from really close range, I think. Yeah. And then, I can't remember. McKenna throws something at him, blows him up.
But I think it's something the dog throws up.
It could have been.
Yeah,
I don't remember. It all happens so fast. Like, you want to talk about like crazy editing? Like, that was all over the fucking place.
Didn't like it.
Too much going on.
I mean, it's not that I didn't like it. It just wasn't very effective.
It. Yeah, it's just I cannot recall what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
I just remember that the Predator got blown up all over the place.
Yeah, and then the end scene is, the Predator's sort of still, the juice bag Predator's sort of still alive, and McKenna just shoots him in the head a couple of times, but the bullets go right through his skull.
Yeah.
So what were you saying before about the helmet being underneath his skin?
They mentioned, because he had the retractable blades, but they were under his skin. I think that Olivia Munn mentioned something about him having his endoskeleton becoming an exoskeleton at times or something like that.
I didn't get that. So there's a lot of quick dialogue in here about plot points that the whole tracking thing, I'm sure it's in the movie, but it happens so fast that I just that it just kind of flies by. So another sort of
and the helmet thing I was talking about is like he's got Predator vision, but he's not wearing a mask, so there's something under his head that's allowing for that. So he's been surgically enhanced and augmented. So he's just a big bad motherfucker.
Yeah, so they end up killing him, and then the sort of ending of the film is Captain McKenna coming to the Stargazer lab.
Yeah, and then they have that really weird CG.
Yeah,
of the arm thing.
They find out eventually what it is that this little Predator was trying to give them, and what it is this little wrist gauntlet that straps itself like to a scientist, an unwilling scientist, and expands onto him and turns him into this 7-foot it's armor.
Yeah.
This 7-foot tall Predator killer with 5 shoulder cannons and all of these lasers targeting everyone, and with the helmet and the dreadlocks and everything, and then it all packages back up and goes back into the gauntlet. It's like an Iron Man suit, essentially. And everyone's like, oh, it's basically a Predator killer armor. And McKenna does have a pretty dope line at the end where he says, so what do you say? He's like, I hope they have it in 42 long.
Yeah, which is my suit size.
Is it? Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah. So that's the end of the movie, and no post credit sequence or anything.
No.
So I mean, it's a fun film. It's just it's an editing nightmare in the first third. It's really bad, really poorly edited. Yeah. It's just there's a lot of confusion there, but when it goes big. And it tries to do something different. And that's what I can always respect these movies. It's not a rehash of what's come before it. It's totally new. It's way different. It's funny. It's goofy. You know what I feel like this is?
What's that?
This is the Terminator 3 of this franchise. The comedy in this is Terminator 3 levels of comedy where you never think that this movie would be funny.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. It just does different stuff. Changes the mythology. And one of the biggest problems I have with this is, I couldn't help watching this movie. Why did this movie cover so much ground that was already covered in Predators?
Yeah.
There's so much overlap between these two movies. Right down, two major things is Juice Bag Predator.
Yep.
Big bad Predator capturing little Predator.
Yep.
And in Predators with Adrian Brody, the OG Predator is tied up.
Yeah.
And they free him, and he helps them escape, and he has this badass moment when he puts the helmet on, and then he fights the big Predator, and this is all in Predators.
Yes.
It sounds familiar because we just talked about it. Yes. It's exactly the same thing as this movie.
Yeah.
And end up killed.
Yeah.
By this newfangled Predator. So that's exactly the same. And then the other thing is the Predator dogs. They did the dogs in Predators.
Frankly, better design.
Frankly, way better design. Yeah. Much more interesting. The sequence I thought was better. So odd that they would cover the same ground. Although this movie, it's not exactly the same. They do enough differently that it's still interesting.
Yeah.
It's just that why Predator dogs? We're gonna have Predator dogs in this movie. I'm like, did you guys watch the last movie? Because they did exactly the same thing.
To me, doing what they did with the spinal fluid and all that, I think that the motivation is build off of Predators and say now the little race is being overrun by the big race, and they want to enlist our help to try and take them down because we had a bunch of soldiers that we abducted and they managed to take down the big ones.
Yeah.
So we want to enlist the human beings. Yeah. That would have been more interesting.
That would have been
pretty cool. Instead they opt to do something completely new, and it just, like you said, complete overlap between that and the second Alien versus Predator. As soon as I see I was thinking of the Alien Predator hybrid thing as when I saw it as well.
Yeah.
It's just like, I get that there's bigger predators and littler predators, but like, just, we don't need to tell the same story over and over.
Right,
again.
yeah. It's, I would love to see a little bit more beyond just like the big ones and the little ones. I'd like to see a little, like, it would be cool to open that up a little bit more, but it rehashed the same dynamic from Predators.
Definitely.
It was super cool to see that in Predators because we've never seen that before. But then, you know, this one does the same thing, unfortunately. Some cool moments in this movie, and I'm definitely gonna watch it again.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, when it comes to home video,
maybe there'll be like extended scenes or whatever. Maybe fill in some of the blanks.
That's
probably
right.
not Olivia Munn's.
That scene probably gonna stay out, but so that edit is always gonna hurt a little bit to watch because it's gonna be super awkward.
Yeah. Whatevs.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. Was there anything else you wanted to mention?
No, that's it. I think we covered it. Honestly, pretty good movie. It's fun. Just don't go in there expecting a masterpiece because it's not a masterpiece of a film by any stretch of the means. But
absolutely
if you go in there just expecting to enjoy the film and have some fun, it'll deliver on that.
Yeah,
just don't think too hard.
You'll be entertained.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to mention was that The Wolfman with Benicio del Toro has a sequence that's exactly like the Breakout sequence, and I feel like they're very similar.
Yes,
they're very similar.
I will kill
all of you. Yeah, and he transforms in the room in front of all those people. So, it kind of gave me flashbacks of that. I definitely like that scene. I'll be watching. Like that'll be one. If the sound mix is the same as the film, that might be one I use to demo sound, because it's definitely like a good immersive sound on that scene.
Yeah. All right. Well, folks, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This has been MC Blanky.
MC Blanky and DJ Cuddles. We're signing out. See you guys.
Take care, guys. Cheers.